Hey, Mount fans, this is Adam Pohl with another edition of our Donny Lind Show, presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. Only one game this week. We'll take a look at what is ahead for the Mount. We'll also take a look with Coach Lind at the last week of Mount basketball, a loss here at home against number one Merrimack in the league, and then a big road win at Iona. The one game that is ahead for the Mount this week is a Friday night tilt. It's on the road at Ryder. So we'll talk about it all with the head coach of Mount St. Mary's basketball. The Donny Lind Show starts now. Welcome back to the Donny Lind Show, presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. My name is Adam Pohl. Now we welcome in the coach of Mount basketball, Coach Donny Lind. Coach, a 1-1 week last week as Mount St. Mary's, you took on the number one team, first place team in the league, Merrimack. And they have a very unique backcourt duo because they're both from the same high school. But their freshman point guard was outstanding, Kaveri Kennedy. There's a chance he might be the player of the league as a freshman in this MAC. And I know that it was one of those things where in that game, and we've seen it a few times here at home, where you take away 5 minutes of the game and you're right there. But it was a big run that kind of pushed Merrimack ahead.
Yeah, tale of two halves, really. I thought the first half we really played the way we wanted to play.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to dictate the tempo of the game and not allow them to really feel much comfort in what they were trying to do. And then, unfortunately came out of the second half and, we're not able to continue to do that. They, obviously went on a run to start the second half there. And, we just didn't have an answer for it. They're, good players and they play in a way that, if they can build a little bit of a lead, it makes it really hard to come back. And, we tried every way we could to try to, dig into that lead. But those first, 5 or 6 minutes of the second half really was the difference.
I feel like one of the strengths, this is a little commentary, folks, but one of the strengths of the Coach Lind era has been this ability to stay even keel, to keep your team playing hard consistently, even after tough games. My goodness, I mean, you're still in the batch with a lot of teams here in the middle of the pack in the league. You go to Iona, one of the toughest environments in the league, and to put together the performance just a few days later that you guys did was really remarkable. I know you have to feel it was really big for your team.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to come here and play, you're gonna learn about adversity and how you respond to it. It's a hallmark of what we believe in as a program. It's a hallmark of the people that we're trying to recruit. And I like to teach a lot of things on the court, off the court. But one of the most important lessons that all of our guys are going to learn is you really are who you are once you get knocked down. And that's going to be the test of who you are and how you respond to that. And we talk about it all year long. We put guys in adverse situations in practice. We make things difficult at times to learn how to respond, because inevitably in any season there's going to be times where you get punched in the mouth. You don't play well. The other team plays well. Things don't go your way. And, the mark of a good team is how you respond to that. And I thought our guys really answered the bell at Iona. They played well. One of our, all around, both sides of the ball, played pretty well throughout the game. And that's great to see that resilience and that resolve that they showed.
Trey DeVoe was great, I thought, in the game and consistently throughout the game at Iona. And he's a player. He's got a lot of patience when he gets the basketball, and his ability to kind of find that right seam to not rush with the ball really paid off.
Yeah, Trey knows how to score. And guys who know how to score, they do it in a variety of different ways. He didn't make a ton of outside jumpers against Iona, but he found some mismatches around the basket. And, there was a lot of attention by Iona paid to Luke. And, Luke was really unselfish and found open guys. And Trey was the beneficiary of that a couple times. But, yeah, Trey knows how to score. He's good at getting to the spots that he wants to get to. He's stronger than a lot of guys. The guys that might be stronger than him, he's quicker than, so he finds advantages and can get to his spots and has been finishing pretty well.
I thought Anthony Arrington really gave you a great burst off the bench.
Yeah, and same way, right? He's a scoring guard. And, Ant's had a little bit of an up and down time, obviously dealing with a ton of injury stuff. Yes. And, that's really made this season that maybe didn't go the way he envisioned it going at the beginning of the year. But he stayed with it. He's been focused on trying to get himself in the best shape he can, try to get his legs back under him. And, he's, again, a talented scorer. He's not just a shooter. He's not just a driver. He's a guy that can score it at all three levels. And in games like that, he gets an opportunity and steps in and, can fill it up quick and give you, 10, 12 points in a hurry.
And then, of course, AKK Bay, we were joking about it yesterday. But, I mean, the reality is that I didn't look at the box score until the day after the game, and I couldn't believe he had 16 rebounds. He has that ability. I feel like this has been a big part of your teams in both of your years here, the ability of guards and wings to rebound. It's not just the big men that pull down the boards. It's a team effort, and that really played out against Iona.
Yeah, I probably sound like a broken record, but when AK decided that he was going to really focus on defense and rebounding, and allow offense to play off of that, to come what may on the offensive end, he's been an unbelievable player, and he has strengths all over the court. But defense and rebounding, he can do things that most guys with his size and athleticism, he just wants the ball and goes and gets it. And, when he does that, our team is significantly better. And, he's been bought into that. He's been consistent to go to the glass. And, this game, it happened to be he got more than he had in some of the other games, but he just goes all the time. And if you go all the time and you're consistent in that, you're going to get him. Or if you keep going, you're going to get him. Some days it might be 16, some days it might be 8. But if you keep, you don't know where the ball's going to bounce, right? The ball hits the rim, you don't know where it's going to bounce. Anything could happen. But if you consistently put the effort in, and especially from the wing, because at the end of the day, most guards don't block out, right? Most guards don't turn and block their man out. They turn and look for the ball, and if it happens to bounce to them, great. And a guy like AK, if you go all the time, you're going to have some free runs in there where nobody's getting in your way, and you can just go get the ball.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll look ahead. Only one game this upcoming week. It is at Ryder. We'll tell you all about it right after this.
The time has come. The steak and cheese sandwich is back at Roy Rogers. Savory or spicy, make it yours with your favorite fixins. Go big and upgrade to a large drink and holster fry for the full cowboy experience. Get it while you can. Steak and cheese is here for a limited time only. See you soon at Roy Rogers.
Great to have you with us here for our Donny Lind Show, presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. Coach, so here we go. There's 13 teams in the league. My specialties were not in math, in my educational excellence. But with that being said, it's hard for everybody to play at the same time. Am I wrong on that?
No question.
So with that being the case, this is going to be a rare time in which you're going to only play one game this week. Now, you're going to play in the first of the two legs. You're going to play Friday night, not Sunday. But looking at an off day in this time of year, you've had a few more nicks. You had a few players out for the Iona game. But beyond just getting healthy, is it an opportunity in a way to have only one game this week at this time of the year?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we've got 25% of our season left, right? We've played 15 games. There's 5 games left. My math was my specialty, so I can do some quick math for you right there. But with 25% of the season left and to get a bye this week, I think can be really beneficial for us. Getting healthy, getting guys their legs back under them a little bit. Some guys have played a lot of minutes, and so getting them some time to rest and recover is a big part of it. But also, there's some things that every team, at this time of the year, when you're just practicing to prepare for games, sometimes you lose some fundamentals. Sometimes you slip in some areas because you're so worried about the opponent and what you got to do to beat the next team on your schedule. And so when you get a couple extra days of practice that don't have a team associated with them, you can really lock in on a couple of those details that might make a huge difference down the stretch. And so we'll spend some time this week. We had a nice film session yesterday, and then spend some time this week preparing for Ryder, but also working on some things that we need to get better, and that'll carry over into the beginning of next week when we have a few of those days. But it'll be good. It's an opportunity for us to, both offensively and defensively, just tighten the screws on a couple things. And it's a good test of the maturity of our guys because, when there's no game in front of you, it's easy to for an immature team to just go through the motions in practice. And, this group is not built like that. We've got so many guys that are older that have played a lot of college basketball, whether it's here or somewhere else, and some strong leadership that helps on these days to say, hey, we're not going to be in here long. We're not going to, break you down physically, but we got to be sharp if we're going to improve. We're fighting for, a lot here these last 5 games. So we got to make sure that we just get a little bit better.
Yeah, with that being said, it's a Rider team that has had a tough season, but it's so hard to win on the road. Rider has a very talented lead guard in Flash Burden, but even beyond that, they're a team and a program that's had a lot of success in the MAC over the years. And altogether, it was only a few weeks ago that they were here at Knott Arena in a very competitive game.
Yeah, I expect it to be a very competitive game up there. They're physical and tough, and we're physical and tough, and so those games, there's neither team has a huge advantage there, and so if you want to win, you got to find other advantages. And I thought in the game here we did a good job. We both teams' front courts kind of neutralized each other, and then our guard play was able to kind of win the day at the end of the day in the game. And I don't know how this game's going to go, but I know it's going to be physical. I know there's going to be good defense played on both sides. And, Riders are really, like you said, it's a good team and a great program. And, they have a lot of pride in the way they do things. And so, we're going to have to, put our hard hats on and go up there. What success they've had has almost all been at home. They've beat St. Peter's at home. They beat Iona at home. So, it's hard to go up there and go get a win. And so we need to make sure that, we do the necessary things this week to make sure that we're continuing to improve and then go into that game with the right mindset and mentality to try to come back here with a win.
All right, we do have a few programming notes for you Mount fans out there. Of course, the Mount is not home this week. Next week are the final home games of the regular season.
Man,
can you believe
flown
it?
By.
It has flown by. It is the opposite of the Buffalo trip, as Niagara will be here Friday on February the 20th. That's a 7 o'clock start. It's going to be a Mount water bottle giveaway presented by PNC.
Nice. Maybe I'll replace my water bottle on the sideline.
It's exactly like that. I should have known this, but it's one of those bottles that, like, literally, if you pour that cold water in, it stays cold.
I like that.
Yeah. And then on February 22nd, that is a Sunday. It is senior day, 2 o'clock. We'll talk more about that next week. Canisius will be here in town, but this is the remake or the reschedule, I should say, of the Emmett bobblehead. Are the kids excited?
They are for sure.
And that is presented by Pepsi, so make sure to come on out. So it's hard to believe, but that's the last time we're able to see Mount basketball here at Knott Arena.
Crazy. It's, like I said, it's flown by. Our fans have been unbelievable all year long. You remember it, in the off season. You remember home games and you remember our fans, and then you get out here and you don't put it in comparison, right? I mean, they get better and better each year, each game. I thought we've had unbelievable crowds, and we're going to need them here in these last 2 games down the stretch next week.
And then Atlantic City is not that far away. The Mount will be on the road the following week to wrap up regular season play. But March 5th through 10th is the MAC tournament. So it is a week earlier this year with the championship game being on a Tuesday night instead of the following Saturday. This season, it'll have a national TV spotlight. The league has also tied into Atlantic City, announcing the tournament will be in Atlantic City through 2031. And I know that's great for Mount fans, being close to home.
It's great. I thought we had an unbelievable turnout last year. Excited. Get your tickets now. We'll have hopefully have a long time there with a lot of our Mount fans cheering us on throughout.
No doubt about it. So get your tickets at mountathletics.com for those upcoming Mount St. Mary's home games. So that's going to do it for us here today. Thanks, Coach, and good luck against Rider.
Thanks, Adam.
That's Coach Donny Lind. My name is Adam Pohl. This has been the Donny Lind Show, presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. Have a great day, everyone.